Every day, while returning home from school, Neeraj takes a detour and visits the local nursery. He's simply in awe with the variety of plants and flowers he sees there. The place is full of brightly colored flowers in full bloom, and he even notices a section for different varieties of cacti. There's a separate section for plants that do not bear flowers. Every day, the owner, Mr. Singh, takes out time from his busy schedule and sits with Neeraj to tell him different technicalities of rearing plants. Today, Neeraj suddenly asks Mr. Singh about how plants produce babies. To this, Mr. Singh laughs and sits down with Neeraj to explain the complex topic of how plants reproduce. Come, let us along with Neeraj educate ourselves about plant reproduction. Hello and welcome to a brand new video lesson from Notebook. Today we are about to start a new and fascinating chapter called Reproduction in Plants. Well, we all know that reproduction is the key for survival of any species. And like all living organisms, plants reproduce too. And we also know that reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new organisms similar to themselves. So the offspring of an elephant will look like an elephant, and the same goes for tigers, bears, and humans. Likewise, the offspring of a rose plant will bear roses once mature, similar to its parents, and the same goes for all other plants as well. So reproduction is indeed necessary primarily for retaining a particular species and also for the transmission of characters from one generation to another. In this chapter, we shall be dealing with plant reproduction, and to learn about it, we should know that reproduction can be broadly divided into two types: asexual and sexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, which is found both in case of animals and plants, reproduction occurs without the involvement of another organism. Here, only one organism is sufficient for producing a new offspring, either from its own body or a part of its body, as there is no fusion of gamete involved. There are various different types by which asexual reproduction occurs in plants: binary fission, multiple fission, budding, fragmentation, spore formation, vegetative propagation, artificial vegetative propagation. Friends, we shall discuss each of these processes in detail in later videos, and you will find these very interesting as well. The other type of reproduction that plants show is called sexual reproduction. This is the most common type of reproduction occurring in most flowering plants. In this process, the male gamete from the male reproductive part is transferred to the female reproductive part, and the fusion of the male and the female gamete occurs. This results in the formation of a zygote, which leads to a new plant. But friends, you need not worry again, as we shall learn about this process in detail when we study sexual reproduction in plants in a separate video lesson. Now, both asexual and sexual reproduction has their own advantages and disadvantages. The advantages of sexual reproduction include: sexual reproduction produces a genetic variation in the offspring. The species can adapt to new environments due to this variation in their genetic variation. Any disease is less likely to affect all the individuals in the population. The disadvantages of sexual reproduction are: time and energy and an external source are needed to find the opposite sex. Until and unless the plant has both the male and female sex organs, it cannot reproduce if isolated. Now, talking about asexual reproduction, let us see the advantages and disadvantages of this process. The advantages of asexual reproduction are: the population can increase rapidly when the conditions are favorable. Only one parent is needed, so saves time and energy to find a mate. The process is much faster than sexual reproduction. Talking about the disadvantages of asexual reproduction, they are: it does not lead to any genetic variation. Hence, the species cannot adapt to a new environment and are suited to survive only in one environment. Since they have the same genetic makeup, so a disease can affect the entire population. So friends, that was a brief introduction on the types of reproduction in plants. In our next video lesson, we shall learn about the different types of asexual reproduction in detail. Till then, keep thinking about it and do go through this video lesson once again. With this, we shall conclude our today's lesson. We shall meet you soon in our next part. Till then, Team Notebook wishes you goodbye.